Hello everybody, my name is Inspector Biz. In this video, I will put my monk mantle on and offer you a life paradigm that has helped me to simplify this overcomplicated hectic experience called life on planet Earth. A fundamental change in how I see the world began when I understood how the left and the right part of the brain work, and how the effects of these two parts manifest themselves in the daily life. This paradigm has helped me to solve problems/take right decisions in the middle of chaotic life situations. And most of all, it has helped me to find what we all are looking for: meaning. It's actually a decoding system of what we call reality, to discern what is, in quotes, the right thing to do. Does it sound too good to be true? I mean, it sounds like the secret of life. Let me explain and stay tuned to discover what I'm talking about. In order to learn this life paradigm, it's essential to understand how the left and right part of the brain work. Don't worry, I will keep the theory short. I've summarized the main distinctive functionalities of the two sections. We have two opposite worlds inside us. One is totally ordered and scientific, the other is apparently messy and artistic. They are watertight compartments, and so they are completely separated from each other. The left side of the brain has the capacity to perform mathematical operations and execute algorithms. And also, in this hemisphere is where the language is formed and the words are sequenced one in front of the other. This part knows the concept of time very well. It understands what the terms before and after mean. This is the section of the brain that likes to spend energy on details and drafting complex schemas. It likes to measure, categorize, compare, and describe with labels. Basically, the resident of this section can be metaphorically described as a scientist, a particularly strict one. He's a little bit arrogant, suffers from perfectionism, and really doesn't like to be perceived as wrong. He wants outstanding results as soon as possible. He thinks there is only one way to solve things, and in general the path is very narrow and rigid. Everything is calculated, and there is very little margin for errors. Or better, there is no margin. Every move is very important and very serious. High speed, high performance are normal for him, and actually they are expressly required. For this diligent character, passions last forever, they simply have to. As you have probably already guessed, this is the perfect recipe for anxiety and stress. This part of the brain is currently described as the residency of the ego, and it's commonly known as the monkey mind. Playing is not an option if it includes even remotely the possibility of failure. This is the left brain in its pure and highly toxic essence. Everyone should be like me. I'm obsessed with controlling, and in the extreme cases I behave like a proper control freak. There are protocols of strict rules that have to be respected. It's the way it is, and it's normal. I cannot do anything about it. The opposite it's true for the right brain. The right side is at the same time chilly and wise. Metaphorically speaking, an artist lives in this part of the brain. The artist is in reality a spiritual teacher, and masters the ability to synthesize, to see through the fluff, and get to the core of things. He sees the great picture by connecting the dots. For him, the world is full of possibilities and opportunities for growth. He cares about the evolution of the soul, that's why being is more important than doing or having. He likes to explore, to play out with new things. And even if something might not work, he is willing to try and go for it anyway. For the inhabitant of this space, the journey is important, not the result. For him, people, animals, and nature are connected to each other through a sense of brotherhood, and community is the natural way of living. He doesn't worry about the future because time doesn't actually exist for this character. He lives in the perpetual, eternal now. This part of the brain is where intuition, instinct, and creativity lie. It's the birthplace of inspiration. This part doesn't think. It simply knows. So now that I know how the two main brain sections work, how this information would actually improve my life. Well, what I just described are not only the constructs of the left and right part of the brain, but also their effects/manifestations into reality. What I'm going to say can sound a little bit odd, but by knowing where our focus is at the moment, naming, if it's in the left or in the right, we can decide to relate with one part or the other, depending on the situation we're currently dealing with. If the situation requires a great level of abstraction, and we are involved in a decision-making process, then we can intentionally access the intuitive faculties of the right brain. Whereas, if we need to look at a circumscribed portion of a problem, at just one single piece of a broader setting, or if we need to implement protocols and mechanically execute tasks, then we use the automatic pilot, naming, the left brain. How can we switch from one side to another? In other words, how can we get a consulting session with the scientist and with the Tibetan monk that live inside us at will? The answer is, we train. It's normal that as citizens of the current planet Earth, our left brain is more developed and more frequently used than the other. What's missing is mostly the right side. In the next minutes I'll tell you how to train this part, stay tuned. Imagine to take all of the constructs of the left brain and put them outside the head. What would we get? We would get precisely what we have now, a highly stratified pyramid-like structure as a society, controlled from top to bottom, with more and more specialized and high-demanding jobs, the closer we get to the top of the pyramid. If we think about it, almost everything about the way our current society works, its structure, its economic model, are an exact external reproduction of the human's left brain. The two are mirroring each other. Super specialized jobs and meticulous tasks are so incentivized and rewarded that losing oneself and miss the big picture are actually the expected consequences. How could this be otherwise? The left brain can be summarized as follows: suffer now to enjoy later. Which is actually a paradox, a cognitive dissonance. Because there cannot be, in quotes, a good future without a good present moment. The right brain, that lives in the perpetual present, would liquid this motto immediately. Inspector Biz, this sounds too vague, we have to be practical. At the end of the day we have to earn money, says the left brain. Yes, that's true. We need money to pay our bills and to fulfill our ordinary responsibilities. Spiritual practices and awareness alone don't bring food on the table. Exactly. We need money and super specialized well-paid jobs, says the left brain again. Let's go straight to the point. What I'm trying to say is not that the left brain is negative. It's actually not negative nor bad, it's essential. We need it to live in practical and quantifiable terms, it's natural. The problem is that we are so accustomed to use the left brain that we use it for everything. We use it to solve problems, to define what's important, and to find meaning in life. Imagine to let the left brain in the driver's seat of one's life. How the journey would look like. I'm not saying that everything about our go-up-the-ladder society is bad. But it's good to acknowledge that what is considered to be normal is sometimes distant to a healthy way of living. More often than not, forcing to follow the external flow doesn't bring development but rather destruction. Experiencing a deep sense of emptiness once in a while is common, and it's actually the norm. And frequently, it's just the effect of too much use of the left brain. That's why it's important to understand how the two main brain parts work. By knowing the right and left brain's patterns and by recognizing how they manifest themselves in the ordinary daily life, we step out of details, out of the narrow vision of the single event and step into awareness. In fact, the state in which we are able to recognize patterns is already a state of awareness because we see the great picture. We interpret a set of apparently unrelated dots and connect them to see a new figure, a new reality. The longer we stay in this state, the higher is the chance to put both practice and meaning in harmony. Here we find possibilities rather than limits. Here we have abundance rather than scarcity. Love instead of fear, and so on. How do we train the right brain? I found some activities that might achieve this, and they are the following. Art. Writing a diary, doing creative writing. Gardening. Hiking. Meditation. Sport and yoga. Playing an instrument, inventing new melodies. Acting and improvisation courses. Inventing an exchange of goods or services. Wim Hof method. Cultivating a passion/a hobby. Having human and social interactions, exchanging of opinions and point of views. Dancing and singing. Everything that you find not boring goes straight to the core. It's an individual choice. The sky is the limit. At its optimal point, developing the right brain is a synergetic process. You give energy, and at the same time, you get it back amplified. It's a virtuous circle. In conclusion, at any given moment, our focus is either in the left or in the right part of the brain. Both have powerful and distinctive functionalities. Depending on where our attention is, we see the world and we experience it differently. Regardless of the situation we're in, we have always the capacity to intentionally access one part or the other. I'm not saying it's easy, I'm saying it's possible, and it can be done. In order to go out of a situation perceived as currently full of constraints, we can choose to tap into the intuitive faculties of the right brain. Whereas if we want to analyze the constraints of a situation, define them and execute specific operations, we use the laser-focused abilities of the left brain. It's common to use mostly the left hemisphere. In fact, its use is externally incentivized and rewarded. If this is the case, don't worry, just train to use the right brain as well. The left brain should be used as a tool with moderation, and as long it's needed, and then put it aside. It should be used to refine, not to make deductions, and it should be the servant of the right part, not the other way around. Do you know more activities to access the right part of the brain, beyond the ones that I already listed? Let me know, I'm curious about it, and it might be the argument of one of my next videos. I'm the Inspector Biz, and if you like this video, please smash the like button or subscribe. Let me know if you would like to further explore a particular argument by writing me a comment below. Thanks for watching and see you soon.